The man who really started to hone his craft in the DFW, it is Tim Kurkjian. Good morning, sir.
How are you, fellas?
Well, Tim, Corey Seager doesn't have a hit so far in the spring, and I'm a little concerned. Should I be concerned about Corey Seager?
No.
Okay.
And here's why, fellas. He's a great player. I've never paid attention to spring training statistics for anyone, unless, of course, it's somebody coming back from an injury or a kid who's just making an appearance. I'm telling you, these guys are just there to get in shape. Jim Edmonds told me once that he was so hot at the end of spring training that he told his manager, "Don't play me anymore because I'm going to use up all my hits in spring training." Lou Piniella, I think this is more than an urban legend. Lou Piniella, playing at the old Pompano Beach ballpark in right field, dropped the fly ball on purpose. He masqueraded like, "Oh, I dropped it," in order to get the game over with because both teams were exhausted. They didn't have any pitchers left. The Cubs in '84, the Cubs went 7-20 in spring training and won the division. And in 2002, the Orioles went like 21-9 and lost like 95 games. So please don't pay attention when a star player is struggling, as long as he's still in his prime like Corey Seager. I don't pay attention to that stuff because once the bell rings on opening day and the numbers count, everything changes.
But on the flip side, when I see Connor Griffin hit 2 moonshots over spring training Fenway, I can catch the fever with that guy, right?
Yes, absolutely. And again, young guys and guys coming back from the injury, and sometimes even guys who have been traded, are in a slightly different category. You know, Albert Pujols went to spring training with the Cardinals. He had basically zero chance to make the team. And Tony La Russa just kept playing him and went, "Wow, this guy's really good." And then, of course, he had one of the great rookie years ever. He had one of the first 10 years any player has ever had, and it all surfaced in spring training. So Connor Griffin, we all know, has a chance to be a spectacular player. And when you see somebody like that hit 2 bombs like that in one game, yes, you pay attention to that. Does that mean he's going to play every day? He's going to make the team coming out of spring training? Maybe not. But you don't forget stuff like that when you see it.
Now, the second that pitchers and catchers report, it's an exciting time. Once the games pick up, it gets even more exciting. But to go along with all of this and everything else we can talk about, it does also feel like there's this specter behind the scenes of, is this our last full season for a little bit?
Yeah, I'm discouraged like everybody else at the moment. Now, again, we have until December the 1st to get this figured out and get this fixed. But at the moment, it seems the people that almost everyone is talking to is saying there will be a work stoppage next year. Now, others have told me there is so much money to be lost or to be gained by the players and the owners, they would be foolish to shut this thing down. But if the owners decide that they're going to try to get a salary cap, we're going to have a work stoppage next year. Fellas, I covered the 81 strike. That was 45 years ago, and we're still arguing about similar things. So let's hope that both sides at some point get together and say this is not a good time. Not like there's any good time for a work stoppage. But right now, I'm not encouraged about things, but I'm going to keep an optimistic view. But we have a long way to go.
And I know the Players Association quickly elected somebody else, but how much does the saga of Tony Clark just kind of throw a little bit of confusion into this whole deal?
Yeah, it was pretty confusing before this.
That's true.
Now it's gotten even worse. And that's another reason I'm discouraged is that the union looks like it's in disarray. I'm not sure it's in complete disarray. Bruce Meyer has done this before. He's been with the union for years. He knows what he's doing. But that cannot be looked at anything positive when we need something really positive to happen.
Tim Kurkjian joining the K&C Masterpiece here on 105.3 The Fan, your home of the Texas Rangers. Now, when we got Bruce Bochy, we knew the legend, we knew the man, and obviously the first time we got to talk to him, we were just like, okay, that's my manager right there.
Right.
We got a chance to talk to Skip as soon as he was hired, and we're going to get our opportunity when we head out to spring training next week. But what around the baseball circles, what is it about Skip that should be exciting for Rangers fans?
Yeah, well, first off, he played, and that's important these days. Not everyone who's teaching how to play the game actually played on the big league level. He's a really smart guy. He has failed and succeeded, which means he's going to understand what everyone's going through. He played a lot, and then other times he was just coming off the bench, so he's going to understand the mindset of the bench player and the everyday player. And he did a really good job as the manager of the Marlins. I had a guy call me and tell me, what a great job this guy is doing. He's not getting any help from the front office, and he's doing his best. And so I don't have any doubt that he is a very, very good major league manager. He's already proven it for a short period. I think with the Rangers, he's going to prove it for a long period.
Now, when you mention that he played at the big league level, is that more important in your mind just for the logistics of succeeding, or is it important to connect with your players?
Well, look, we've had guys who were – Buck Showalter did not play in the major leagues, but he was a great manager. Jim Leland didn't play in the major leagues. Great Hall of Fame manager. But the difference is our players today – back when I was growing up a million years ago, you did what the manager, the coach, your teachers, your parents told you to do. Our young guys today in the game need a little bit more than that. And when you can say, yeah, I played in the big leagues, I think that matters to them, because when you tell them they have to do something, not everyone responds immediately like we did 60 years ago. Now they just need a little bit of proof. So I don't need to know it but I think the players need to know, hey, Skip played in the big leagues. Maybe we should listen.
If these bats liven up for this roster, we saw last year, it was just a struggle to get runs on the board for this team. But if these bats liven up, does that put the Rangers in one of those top-tier categories because based on the lively pitching they have?
Yeah, I'm still astonished how poor an offensive team the Rangers were last year, because I know I spoke to several people who I really trust, and they told me best offensive team in the American League is going to be the Rangers.
Yeah.
And they weren't. They weren't even close. And it's just so unusual to see almost the entire team have a down season. But the beauty of baseball is you can be off by the smallest of margins in your timing, your tempo, whatever it is, and you can go from a good player to a not very good player overnight. But the flip side also works that way. You can have a terrible year, and then the light goes back on and you're good again. You know how many times I've asked a hitter or a pitcher, in so many words, God, you stunk last year, now you're great. What happened? And the answer is, I don't know. And then the same time you say, hey, you were great last year, and now you stink. What's happened? And they're not sure then either. That speaks to the degree of difficulty of the game. I think it's the hardest game in the world to play. The skill level required is ridiculously high, and really good players can have subpar years without explanation.
I'm glad that you phrased it that way across the board, because we were all frustrated about a whole lot of players, and I'm sure they were frustrated as well. But, man, it feels like the one who stood out the most was Jock Peterson, who went from being a very good offensive player to having one of the worst offensive seasons we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what happened there, but it's not like he's too old. He's not. It's not like he can't hit anymore, although I know Aaron Boone used to tell me, and every time he went to spring training, he would ask himself, can I still hit in the big leagues? Every spring he would ask the same question. Anthony Rizzo told me the same thing, that every spring he goes and asks himself, can I still play in the major leagues? This is in the prime of his career. Wow. So these things happen to players all the time, and maybe it just happened to Jock Peterson, but I repeat, the light goes on and off in this sport way more than the other sports. No great jump shooter for the Maverick shoots, 44% from three one year and then shoots 18% from the three-point line the next year. It doesn't work that way, but it works that way in baseball, which is why baseball is such a beautiful game, because it's so hard to play.
So if we're going to talk about our hope that offense picks right back up, I think we have to at least discuss what are the expectations for the Rangers rotation, which arguably they had the best pitching staff in terms of numbers in all of Major League Baseball last year. Are they going to have to replicate that, or could you see them doing something like that again this season?
I did not see them leading the league in ERA like they did. I did not see them being this good. I didn't see Nate Eovaldi, who is as big a warrior and as good a big game pitcher as almost anyone I've ever seen. I didn't see him having an ERA that low. But yes, I think they have a chance to pitch exceptionally well out of the rotation. Mackenzie Gore is a really good major league pitcher. He was leading the major leagues in strikeouts about 2.5 months into last season. So he's really going to help. Jacob deGrom can give him that many innings again. As long as he's healthy, he's great. And Jack Leiter's going to get better, and Evaldi's really good, and Kumar Rocker's got a chance. So I really like where their rotation is right now. But to say, oh, yeah, they're going to lead the league in ERA again, no guarantees with baseball.
Well, Tim,
I choose to only hear the positive parts of that answer, Corey.
Tim, with Mackenzie Gore, we're really hopeful for him, but when we had our first interview with him, my co-host brought up that he gave up only one run in his senior year of high school, and Mackenzie informed us that was in the state championship game and that they lost by one run. Do you think that'll affect his season?
That is so good.
Yes.
Well, you remember Nathaniel Lowe? No,
Yes.
It's not going to affect the season. Nathaniel Lowe told me that his younger brother, Josh, how about this, got called up Nathaniel Lowe's senior year to the high school varsity. And Josh Lowe pitched the top of the ninth inning for his big brother's team. His big brother was a senior. And then Nathaniel Lowe won the state championship and made a winning pitcher out of his younger brother when he hit a walk-off grand slam.
That's awesome.
I mean,
Whoa.
so the things that have happened in high school are just indescribable for so many big leaguers. So, yes, Mackenzie Gore gives up one run in the state championship. I had no idea. No, I don't think he's going to take that to the mound at the ballpark in his first start as a Ranger.
Awesome.
Tim, I thought I was really clever with that question because I reverse engineered his ERA. I looked at it was like .09, and I looked at the number of innings he pitched, and I go, that means he gave up one run all year. I did not anticipate his answer being that it was in the final game of the season and they lost 1-0. I felt really bad about that question.
It happens.
Well, I'm sure he didn't take it personally. He's a good big league pitcher, and he's going to help the Rangers.
We're kind of looking at this club and trying to figure out, as Simeon is left, there's kind of a void in leadership. Is it Corey Seager's team, or is this the Wyatt Langford era? And I'm just kind of curious on where you feel Wyatt Langford's progression is with this club.
Yeah, he is. What a physical specimen that guy is, to be that big and run like that. I did a Rangers game in San Diego last year from the booth. So I was around the Rangers for almost a week. And after one of the games, Corey Seager looked at me and I asked him about Wyatt Langford, and he goes, man, he runs angry. Well, what a beautiful term for a guy who's that big, who runs that fast and that hard. He runs angry. And I think it's only a matter of time before this guy becomes a great all-around player. We've seen the power, we've seen his speed, we've seen his competitive nature. He was a great football player in high school, all that stuff. It's just a matter of time. But again, the game is so hard to play. Young guys sometimes take a few years to figure it out. It's only a matter of time for this guy to become not just an all-star, but a really, really good player.
When you talk about how much you love this game, can you tell us a little bit more about, is this a great game or what, the podcast and the experience of doing the podcast with your son?
Yeah, it's so good. My son Jeff is 32. He's a radio show host, music talk, country music talk, and he knows a little bit about baseball, but he's not like me. He just knows everything else about everything else, and I of course don't know anything except for baseball, basketball, and sitcoms from the 60s. That's all. It's all I know. So we're a good pair because I can tell him stories that sometimes he's heard them before because he lived in our house all those years, but other times he's just like the average fan who's never heard that story before. And then, of course, when it comes to pop culture or music or anything else, he's on top of it. So we make a pretty good team. This is our third year. We've had some fabulous guests, including Chris Young a couple years ago. It was hysterically funny when he talked about his only major league triple. He's the tallest guy ever to hit a triple at a major league game. And I asked him to describe it, and it took him 10 minutes. It was the funniest thing I've ever heard.
That's how long it took him to get to third.
That's amazing. And obviously, I got to know, were you a Munsters guy, Gilligan's Island, Bewitched? What was our favorite 60s sitcom there?
Well, The Munsters is the most underrated sitcom of all time. Herman Munster, by far, the most underrated sitcom character ever. But Get Smart is the greatest sitcom of all time. Sorry, there's not a close second. All in the Family second. Dick Van Dyke's third. Mary Tyler Moore's fourth. Cheers is fifth. Seinfeld is fifth. Pretty good group, but nothing's better than Get Smart. It was my dad's favorite, my two brothers' favorite. And I could tell you virtually every line from every episode right now.
That was tremendous. The fact that you had that list ready to roll shows that you're a pro, Tim. Thank you very much. And once again, the podcast, Is This a Great Game or What? With his son, Jeff. Tim Kurkjian, thank you very much for the time today, sir.
Okay, fellas. Talk to you later. See you.